Hey, everybody. We have another question for you guys today. You may see a little pattern going. We like to ask you guys questions and we want to see you guys think a little bit. We want to make you guys think. So, are you happy? Have you ever heard that question? Or has anyone ever asked you this? Are you happy?
Hello, my name is Antonio,
My name is Edwin.
and today we're going to talk about that question. Are you happy? And we're going to answer it. I used to think that happiness was just a state of mind and nothing else. But since then, I have found a source of joy beyond my imagination. And we're going to go over that today.
Do you guys want to know what that is? I'm curious.
So, how do you answer the question, are you happy? Have you ever been asked that? Well, it might be a weird question to ask because obviously somebody's going to say, yeah,
Yeah, I'm happy.
yeah, I'm happy.
I'm fine.
And you're not going to see a burst of joy. You're not going to see somebody jumping up. Yeah, like I'm happy.
Yeah.
So the answer I would give is yes, I'm happy. But we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And happiness, by definition, is a noun. So what is a noun? A person, place, or thing. But happiness is not found in a person, nor a place, nor a thing. And we live our lives that way. We live our lives thinking that happiness does come from a specific person, from a specific place, and from a specific thing or things. So a person, a lot of times whenever we're around certain people, only that person brings me happiness. And if I'm not with that person, then I'm unhappy. I'm gloomy all day. Like, man, I miss that person. Like, so you can't live without this person. That's bad because that person is not a source of happiness.
Yeah. Should not be your source
Should
of
not be.
happiness. Yeah.
And let's say a place. Are you only happy at your house or only happy in your room when nobody's bothering you? Or are you only happy in a party? Only if you're partying all weekend
At the club.
at the club. That's like the only source of happiness for you. And if it is, and if you're not in that place and you're unhappy and you're sad and you just get anxious that you just don't know what to do and you have to be in your happy place, so to speak, then that is not a source of happiness.
Yeah.
Or things. Are you chasing money? Is money a source of happiness? Is material things, a brand new car, a something that once you have this, I'm gonna be happy. Or you may think like that. Or as soon as I get married, I'm gonna be happy. As soon as I talk to this girl, I'm gonna get happy. I'm gonna be happy. As soon as I achieve this goal, I'm gonna be happy. Happiness does not come from those material things.
Right. Yeah, and it's because a question to ask there is, so what happens once, let's say, like the people, the group of people, or the person, that person is removed, then you're not happy again anymore.
Yeah.
That let's say that you like going to this place and the place is closes down. So what's gonna happen? You're not happy at that point, or like a certain thing, you lose that certain thing, your happiness is gone. So that's not a true source of happiness. It's maybe like a temporary pleasure because you maybe have it in the moment, but once you go away from it,
It could be a dependency, unnecessary dependency. So you depend on this person.
an unhealthy dependency as
Yes,
well.
unhealthy. You depend on this person unhealthily and unnecessarily because you can live without this person, but you may hear some people say, "Oh, if you leave me, I will die. I don't know what to do with my life."
Yeah.
Or you love your car so much that when you're in a wreck and it's totaled, oh my gosh, like
The world's coming to an end.
Yeah, and your world is done and you don't know how to live without your car. And those are material things. Happiness does not come from a person, place, or thing.
Right. Happiness should actually be wherever you are,
Yes.
with whoever you are. Like you should be like authentically happy.
Yeah, so happiness, like I had said, happiness is more of a state of mind. I used to think this, where it was you have to be in a sense of happiness, and it doesn't matter where you go, what you do, you should be happy. And that's a good way of viewing it, because happiness is an emotion. You choose to provide an emotion or which emotion to whatever that's your reaction to the certain circumstance. So good or bad, you choose to be happy. Unexpected or expected, you choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice, something that you have to willfully choose. And sadness is also a choice. You choose to be sad. You choose to be gloomy. It's a choice. It's an emotion, but you have to control certain emotions and know when to express them too.
Exactly.
So obviously, you're not going to be sad all your life, and sadness is an emotion, but you have to not stay in that sadness. You have to know. And then happiness, there's times to be happy, times to be sad.
Yeah.
But we have to choose happiness in order to be more happy.
Right.
Joy is a inner feeling, and happiness is the outward expression. So joy has to live in our hearts in order for us to express happiness. So where does that joy come from? So that's where I was saying a person, place, or thing does not provide happiness, but then truly it does.
Ooh.
Because a person, how can a person provide happiness? Well, that source of happiness in your life comes from Jesus Christ. Jesus will bring that happiness, that source that never ends. Your batteries will never go low because that source of happiness lives inside of your heart. That's a person. So happiness does come from a person. And a place. Here in the world, there's potentially happiness and sadness, but there is a place where is only happiness.
Yeah.
No other thing but happiness and joy, and that is heaven. So heaven provides happiness and everything that comes from heaven. So potentially the church is a place where we can also experience happiness. So then happiness does come from a place. And things, does happiness come from things? Yes, everything that God has created can also guide us into happiness. So the happiness of our children, we receive happiness through our children, seeing them grow, seeing them live every day. And let's say such as creation, the sunset, the moon, the beach, the mountains. There's things that you can enjoy and that provide happiness for you. So, like we said, happiness doesn't come from just a person, place, or thing. It comes from a specific person, a specific place, and specific things.
Yeah. Doesn't come from just anybody. It's come from someone. Very specific. Yeah. Nature. That's where God, wherever God is at.
Yes.
That's where you can find that authentic happiness. It's awesome. Now, sometimes we may ask ourselves, okay, we're talking about this happiness. I don't know if I'm happy or not. Whether we like it or not, whether we realize it or not, a lot of times the decisions that we make, the bad decisions that we make, can and will, make a life that we're unhappy, where we're actually unhappy. So then the question would be, then how can I truly be happy? We've talked about, like happiness can be found, in Jesus Christ, in heaven and all that. But there's also a way where we can find maybe authentic happiness here. We're not going to say this is the only way, but this is one that we have learned, and it's it's rooted in that you can really achieve this happiness, and it's in the 4 cardinal virtues. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them, and those are prudence, justice, fortitude or courage, and then there's also temperance. And we're going to go a little bit over detail onto each one of those so that we understand a little bit about these 4 virtues and how they can help us. They can help us live a very successful life, a happy life, and they will lead us to that happiness in God.
Yes.
The easy answer that I would like to say is, how can I be truly happy? Is kind of like live by what would Jesus do, and maybe live as close to God as possible, and you'll find that happiness.
So like I was saying, that happiness could potentially be a state of mind, because you have to be in that state searching for happiness, and then you would live it out. but happiness is a way of living
Right.
with your direction pointed towards God,
Yeah.
and only then your happiness will be fulfilled. So then that's where these cardinal virtues come in, where it's a way of living. You have to live these virtues out in order to be pointed towards happiness, towards a purposeful and joyful life, a fulfilled life.
Exactly. So then let's go a little bit over, these four cardinal virtues. So the first one, prudence. So basically, it helps us do the right thing at the right time and like the right way. And one, like I heard a theologian and an author mention it this way: is like begin with the end in mind. And that kind of sounds a little cliche because you hear it all everywhere, but it really is. When you make a decision, you make a prudent decision. All right, so this that I'm going to do now, how is this going to affect me later? How is this going to affect me down the road? A decision that I'm making now, is it getting me closer to God or is it getting me away from God? So you have to make prudent decisions throughout our lives, and not necessarily only with God, but just in life in general.
Every decision you make has a consequence.
Exactly. It's a
Whether
domino
good or
effect.
bad, then that's depending on your decision. But
Yeah.
every decision you make affects you right now, you in the future, and other people around you for in the future.
Exactly. And a few examples that we can think of. Let's say we're going somewhere at a certain time and you're going to meet with someone. Obviously, you have to prepare ahead of time to be able to meet that someone at the right time. Another example, one like earlier this week, preparing for this episode, when I was preparing for with my notes and everything, I decided to wake up earlier the next day because I was gonna, work on the episode, get my notes together, put my thoughts down. So then, let's say I decided to wake up at 5 in the morning, right? So then I woke up, got ready, started working on these notes, and interestingly enough, it gave me time to even sit down calmly, eat breakfast, chill for a little bit. Everyone was asleep, so it was quiet. So I prudently made the decision. All right, I'm going to wake up at this time. I did, and it helped me, you know, feel good with myself. I was happy because one, I finished my notes, and two, I was able to eat breakfast and not be hungry.
So that's prudence.
Prudence. The second one, justice, is basically fulfilling the responsibilities and obligations that we have for other people. Interesting enough, here in the United States or in the Americas, we hear the word justice and we all immediately think of
Me.
like me,
Yeah.
inward, right? Like my rights is these are my rights and I deserve this. Is me, right? But this way, the way we're talking about justice is it's supposed to be outward. We're supposed to be looking at the other people. Like, what are our responsibilities for other people? It's not about me. It's about my brother, my sister. An outward look in what I should owe for these people.
Yeah.
So, what's good maybe for my family, maybe for company, maybe the church that I go to, society.
Yeah. So it potentially, it could be like giving an example. If the only time that you can plan or to see your parents are maybe Christmas time, Thanksgiving, and only that weekend you can plan with them, and you already have everything planned out. You set the time, the days that you were going to be there, and then last minute something comes up with your friend and you're just too lazy to go out there and visit your parents. I don't want to do this, but you already said yes, and you just cancel without letting them know. They're expecting you, and now there's that havoc or that chaos because you didn't. Your justice is to show up because you already said you were going to show up, but then you just choose to not show up and not let anybody know.
Right.
So that's kind of like a way of disrespecting their justice.
Mm-hmm.
They deserve the justice that you already said you were going to do such thing, and go ahead and do it.
Yeah, do them justice and give them that time, because you never know that time that you have. Not let's say God doesn't allow that, but let's say it's the last time you will be able to see them. You never know. You could be like after that decision, it could lead to sadness, or making the decision of being there will make you happy because then you'll have that quality time with them. You know, just as an example. All right, next one, fortitude or courage. Excuse me. It helps us keep pushing forward when we're facing, maybe certain situations in our life, circumstances that kind of maybe set some sort of fear in ourselves, or maybe sadness. So what this virtue does is it helps us push through, keeps us pushing through, even though maybe I may be in this certain situation that's giving me this sadness or this pain or this fear, like all of that. I'm still gonna push through because I know the end result is definitely worth it. There's many examples. Just maybe past traumas. Just be strong, push forward.
So a lot of times, some people may see a happy person as like, man, this guy doesn't know what I'm going through. Like, there's no way I can ever be like that because they don't know my struggles. They don't know what I'm going through. So it's kind of like you're putting yourself in a state of happiness is too far for me. And that fortitude and courage is to push through, even though your circumstances are not the best, even though your present moments are not what you would want them to be, but it's to push through and hope and realize that God is on the other side. God is rooting for you to push through this because He has something better for you. And now I know there's some stories where, like, man, how do these people? How are these people even happy if they have so many traumas in their childhood and so much kind of like head in their way that is just so negatively, and they're still managed to push through, and you're like, whoa, like, how are they happy? It's because they have the end in mind. It's not they're not happy that they're in this state. They're not happy that they're in these circumstances, but they're looking forward for one day not being in there, not being in that situation. And that's kind of like their little push
Exactly.
to keep going and to push hard. So that's
Yeah.
Fortitude and courage.
Yeah.
Push through the sadness, push through the rain, because there's a rainbow at the end of the storm.
Exactly. They're blessed with that virtue of fortitude, of courage. And then the last one, temperance. It helps us have self-control, maybe abstain from certain things, restraint, and maybe moderate our attraction to pleasure, maybe like a temporary pleasure. Little things that we really would like to do in a situation. And temperance helps us kind of focus and say, maybe not right now, maybe later. Or maybe we're in a situation where I'm just trying to think of one right now where, let's say, we're studying for a test, and I know this test we have to pass it because it's one of the biggest ones, a big grade. But then my friends over there, they're super calm and they're just acting up, or they're just playing video games,
Or they're partying.
They're partying,
And you want to go.
Yeah, and you want to go. That's reasonable because you see that they're having fun, but I'm focusing on this test right now. So the temperance there, it kicks in, the virtue of temperance, and it helps you focus. Hey, that is only a temporary pleasure. But if you do go, you're not going to be able to study properly for this test. You may not pass, right? Another example a really good example that maybe a lot of people might relate to is an example of back when I was like in ninth grade, I believe. I was a little overweight, and I was hitting the 200 pounds, I believe. And so I decided I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to focus, and I'm going to lose a little bit of weight. So obviously, throughout that year, I really focused. I determined. I started eating cleaner. I started doing exercise. And then holidays come around. Food everywhere, right? Families, they're all serving your plates. Temperance kicks in. Ooh, I love that right there. I would love to have a plate full of that. But my goal, my end goal, my focus right now is I'm watching what I eat so that I don't lose control. So now I'm going to only serve myself a little bit. That I didn't say I can't have any of it. I'm going to go just a little bit, just a little try, just a little bit. And it's funny because, at parties, and maybe you relate, they see you serve yourself a little bit and like, that's all you're going to eat? Yeah, that's it right now. Just, you put some more up there, make it a little bit heavier. But I was like, no, right now I'm focusing on something. My goal is this. Not for now. Maybe later, but not right now. So that's temperance.
Yeah, or self-control in a way. I think about like let's say you're in a party and you see your friend drop $100 and you're like, oh man, this is a good opportunity.
I could use that.
Yeah, I can go and get it, slip it up, nobody will know. So that self-control of not of doing fulfilling a temporal pleasure, like you said. So that's gonna give you temporal pleasure because you stole $100. But then whenever they find out, oh, who stole my money, and oh, it was him. So then that brings sadness. So that temporal happiness, temporary happiness, leads to not happiness. It doesn't lead to a bigger happiness.
Yeah.
So that's having that self-control to let's say in that case not stealing, it will bring you more happiness overall because you did the right thing.
Exactly. And now you may be asking yourselves, or you may be curious, why are they called cardinal virtues? You may be thinking of like the red bird, the cardinal. Why cardinal? So the word cardinal is actually, and this I learned recently. So the word cardinal is actually rooted in the Latin word cardo or cardo, and so it basically stands for hinge. So like the way you can see it is that these virtues, our lives kind of hinge on these virtues to live a happy life. And so if we focus our lives on these four virtues, obviously there's more, but if we focus on these main ones, our lives could result in a happier life, a more fuller, more successful life, a life closer to God, which would eventually, obviously, would lead to happiness.
Yeah.
So as one example of how we can achieve that happiness, right? And if God loves us infinitely and He wants us in His presence and He wants us at all times, right? And He knows that heaven is a far greater place for us, right? So then sometimes we could probably think, so then what are we doing here? Why does God put us on earth? Is because He has a plan for us. And if we follow His plan, if we stick to the path, He will lead us into a happy life. And we follow the virtues, we can help people along the way also achieve happiness, because that's our end goal. We want to help as many people as possible, have a little bit of happiness in their life. That should be our goal. A lot of times we'll see so many people that are sad. Just share a little bit of cheer with them. That will make you happy too. I know it does for me. Like, give them a little smile. It makes you feel good.
Yeah. Because I remember a time of depression for me around 10th grade. I was in a low state of my life where I couldn't see past that storm. I couldn't see ahead. I couldn't see a future. All I was focused on was that day, and that day I didn't feel good. There was problems here, problems everywhere, and I didn't like it. So I wanted to see the end of the storm, and I couldn't. And for as much as I tried, it did take about a year to push through and weather out the storm. And then slowly I started getting better habits, so that way I can feel a little better and push through. I started listening to a little bit more upbeat music. So instead of kind of like sad songs, I started playing more of like techno and higher beat music. And then that's kind of like a little push. And then I started I was and during that time I was kind of like a little bit less expressive. So I started expressing more of myself. I believe I even cut my hair around that time. And that's kind of like I was trying to like be somebody else, and that I couldn't see. I wanted to be different, but I couldn't. And so I pushed through that storm, that depression. And at the end of it, I was like, man, I will never be in that state again, because I know after that struggle, I found like help in the church, help in Jesus Christ. So then I was like, man, like why was I so low? And you do struggle in that in that position. And there's a lot of people who are there, and depression is real. But push through, like we said, push through. Happiness is a way of life. It's you have to live accordingly to your outcome. So if you want to receive this at the end, then you have to take steps forward. And these cardinal virtues help you in that way. So do you lie? Do you cheat? Do you steal? Are you conscious of the bad things that you do in your life? Can you repair them and apply good habits into your life? And those good habits are gonna is gonna be like a domino effect. Slowly but surely, it's gonna get better, because, like we said, your decisions affect your outcome. Your decisions have consequences.
Yeah.
So those consequences are gonna be good or bad depending on your decisions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and don't give up, guys. Just keep pushing forward. You know, have the courage, have the fortitude to push on, to not give up. And you know, because like Thomas Edison once said, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always just try one more time, just one more time, just one more time. You will eventually get there. You just have to have the courage to keep pushing, to keep trying. You know, and I want to share a scripture with you guys. Psalms 37:4. It says, "Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. What does your heart truly desire? You know, your heart. What is it aching for? You want God in your life, so take delight in the Lord. He will help you. Let's say if you have other goals in life, you have other plans for your family, for your friends, for your loved ones. Take delight in the Lord. You know, put everything in His hands, and He's gonna, you know, He will give you whatever your heart desires. But you have to have it truthfully, virtuously. Sorry, towards God, always towards God, and excuse me. One other thing too that I would like to say is there's a phrase that I heard recently from an author. It says, happiness is not the belief that we don't need to change. It's the realization that we can. A lot of times we'll find ourselves saying, "Nah, that's how I am. I can't change. I'm hard set in my ways."
or
No.
that these circumstances can't change.
Yeah, like
So
this
then-
it's not going to change. I'm going to be like this forever. That's not true, guys. That's not how God wants you to think. He wants you to keep pushing forward. Have the fortitude to battle on. Follow the steps that God has set for you, and you know you will achieve that happiness.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we focus on the things that we can't change. So then that brings us unhappiness. If we focus too much on the past, yesterday, what good does it do? It only adds stress, because we can't change anything we did or didn't do yesterday. So the past and yesterday is done for. So stop thinking about it. And we can't predict, as much as we try, we can't predict even the weather. The weather changes every second, every minute.
Yes.
We can't even predict the weather for tomorrow. So why worry about what's coming for tomorrow? The only thing and the right way to live a happily life is to focus on today. What can you do today to, like we said, prepare for a better future? Prepare for a better tomorrow. You can prepare for a better tomorrow, but don't stress out that, tomorrow's coming and I need to do this.
Don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
It will come. Just prepare. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for your time again. As always, comment, like, subscribe. Please share this with friends, family, if you think that will help them. If you liked it, maybe they might like it too. And keep sending us messages. Let us know if you guys would like to hear anything else. But for now, that'll be it for today, guys.
Yeah. So life is a short journey. So let's be happy. Why not?
Don't worry. Be happy.
Pax
Pax
Bonum.
Bonum.